Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Bianca Collins. I'm the curator of public programs for the Fowler Museum at UCLA. Today's program is part of the Fowler's Festivals in the City of Angels series, which connects museum programs with communities across the city in order to better understand manifestations of lived religion in LA and honor local expressions of global faiths. We are very excited to have partnered with the Indian Student Union at UCLA to present two programs tonight and tomorrow to honor Diwali, the festival of lights that celebrates the beginning of the Hindu New Year. Tonight, scholar Lakshika Senarath Gamage is with us to explore the origins of this holiday and its manifestations in contemporary lived communities. She will also offer her perspectives on the design, construction, and use of the spectacular bronze oil lamps found in the Fowler's collection that were acquired by the preeminent scholar of Indian art in LA. Such oil lamps would have been used in Diwali celebrations to symbolize the victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. The timing of such a celebration is especially poignant this week and ripe for celebration. Before we get into our program, a little bit about our featured guest. Lakshika received her Ph.D. in 2018 from the UCLA Department of Art History. Her research on early modern South Asian art focuses on Hindu and Buddhist temple art and architecture in India and Sri Lanka. While at UCLA, her dissertation fieldwork in the southern Indian states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala was supported by the Ralph C. Altman Award, bestowed in 2014 by the Fowler Museum. She currently teaches Asian art history at Santa Monica College and conducts research on South Asian art at the Getty Research Institute. If you have any questions during this program, we encourage you to submit them through the Q&A function found at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can submit and upvote questions that you would like to hear answered at the end of the program. Okay, that's enough from me. Lakshika, over to you.
Hi, Bianca. Thank you very much for that introduction. So, hello, everybody. My name is Lakshika, and I'm going to share my slides with you right now. Here we go. All right. Well, thank you, Director Burns and Bianca, for inviting me for this talk. I'm so excited to be a part of this Diwali program and to be back with UCLA. So first, I will talk a little bit about the importance of Diwali, and then I will discuss the different types of lamps from the collection and their significance. Diwali, or Deepavali, is the festival of lights that is celebrated by Hindu devotees around the world. Diwali takes place in the darkest night in the autumn months based on the Hindu lunar calendar. As the conveyor of light, oil lamps are essential to this celebration. First, the worshippers prepare for the celebration by drawing these ephemeral and intricate designs called kolam in South India or rangoli in the north. These designs are drawn with rice flour, sand, sawdust, flower petals, to name a few materials that are used. Within the various rangoli designs and throughout the homes, the devotees will light clay lamps known as diyas. The diya lamps are oftentimes small clay or earthenware lamps, roughly handheld size, and will be filled with ghee, clarified butter, or coconut oil with cotton wicks. While the diyas are often ephemeral, just like the rangoli, and can be easily replaced, the bronze lamps, such as those that we will be talking about from the Fowler collection, tend to be more permanent fixtures within homes and temples. There are several stories from Hindu literature that discuss the various origins of Diwali. The primary goal would be to honor Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity. So devotees are keen to keep the lamps alight every night of the 5 days of the Diwali celebration in order to appease Lakshmi, who will then bless them for the light that is offered in her honor. In northern India, worshippers believe that Diwali originated as a celebration that welcomed back Prince Rama and his wife Sita to their kingdom called Ayodhya after being in exile for 14 years. During that exile, Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, the 10-headed demon king of Lanka. So Rama waged a war against Ravana to rescue Sita. With the help of his faithful monkey general Hanuman, who is later deified as Lord Hanuman, Rama kills the demon king Ravana. This marks the triumph of good over evil. Rama is not only a benevolent king, but he is also the reincarnation of God Vishnu, a primary god of the Hindu pantheon, considered to be the preserver of the universe. The Ramayana narrates how the citizens of Ayodhya lit lamps throughout the streets in order to welcome Rama and Sita back to their kingdom. Within the Hindu pantheon, Vishnu's consort is goddess Lakshmi. Therefore, it is quite apt that a major portion of the Diwali celebration is devoted to the veneration of Lakshmi, with daily offerings of light as we see each night of the festival. In western parts of India, the day of Lakshmi Puja, Puja meaning offering, coincides with the day of Kali Puja. Kali, also known as Durga, is a very powerful deity who encompasses ferocious demonic qualities and is often considered the quintessential embodiment of female power. And she is also a protector of women and children. Lamps and firecrackers are lit in honor of Kali as well. Given the central role of Lakshmi and to a certain extent Kali, perhaps we can reframe Diwali as a predominantly a celebration of the divine female. The 5 days of the celebration have special significance as identified by various stories in Hindu mythology. Day 1 is when all mundane activities stop and lamps are lit to mark the arrival of Rama as well as to venerate Yama, the god of death. A newly married wife of a prince kept vigil by lighting lamps and distracted Yama, who came to kill the prince disguised as a snake. Day 2 commemorates the killing of demon Narakasura by Krishna, who is also an avatar of God Vishnu. Day 3 is when Lakshmi is venerated. Day 4, we see pujas offered at temples, seeking protection for the new year. And day 5, gifts are exchanged between family members and particularly between brothers and sisters. Lamps take center stage throughout these celebrations and function as a vehicle of light between the devotee and the gods. The light that emanates from clay and bronze lamps ensures the presence of Lakshmi within homes throughout the new year. Light offers guidance, warmth, and a sense of protection and renewal. The lamps function as the harbingers of divine blessing and protection and offer sanctuary to the devotees. With these ideas in mind, let us now turn to the Fowler collection of bronze lamps. But thanks to a gift by eminent art historian and curator, Dr. Pratap Pal, the Fowler Museum has an array of bronze lamps that exhibit intricate design, striking aesthetics, function, as well as a range of Hindu and Pan-Asian iconography. In many ways, we can identify regional diversity through these various design elements and craftsmanship of the lamps. The bronze and brass lamps that are made in the lost wax method and later hammered, they're made in the lost wax method and then later hammered to create fine detail. Provenance ranges from various Indian states, Nepal, and Southeast Asia. In order to keep our talk within the allotted time frame, I will only discuss a small selection of the lamps, but an in-person visit once the museum opens after the pandemic is highly recommended. There are several different categories of lamps at the Fowler collection. First, we have what's called the Arti lamps. They are used for pujas for the deities. These lamps are essential to devotional practices where light is directly offered to the deities within homes and temples. Then there are lamps that have multifunctional use where there is a vessel for oil and may also include a stand for incense sticks. The third is called Deepa Stamba or trees of light. Deepa meaning lamp and Stamba meaning stand. These are tall lamps with an very elaborate and decorative stand. And you always see multiple wicks used within these lamps. And they're often used in large spaces with communal activities such as weddings, social events, business openings, and conferences. The fourth type is called a Lakshmi lamp, and they're also seen in both temple and domestic settings. I do want to emphasize, however, that these lamps are used special ceremonies within temples and homes, as well as in Diwali, along with other Hindu celebrations. Arti lamps come in a variety of styles, usually consisting of multiple oil receptacles. Cotton wicks dipped in oil are placed in the receptacles filled with coconut oil, right here, or ghee. An important piece of the Arti lamp is the handle with which the devotee holds and circles the lamp in front of a sculpture of a deity in a clockwise direction. In a sense, the Arti lamp functions as a conduit between the worshipper and the god. Some Arti lamps may also contain a space to hold incense sticks. In this particular Arti lamp, there is a goblet in the center, which is supported by a bell-shaped pedestal. 5 oil receptacles or burners are attached to the central goblet. Additionally, incense discs or camphor can be placed and lit up in the central goblet. The handle that swoops down from the central goblet indicates Shaivite iconography. These are images related to God Shiva the Destroyer, one of the most powerful deities in the Hindu pantheon. His vehicle, Nandi the bull, is seen right here, venerating a stylized phallic symbol right in front of Nandi. And that is the Shiva Linga, which is considered to be a representation of Shiva as well. A cobra or a naga head provides shelter to the Shiva Linga. You can see 2 more receptacles for incense sticks behind the cobra's head. Once the lamp has been lit, along with the incense, a devotee will then swing the lamp in quick clockwise motions with their right hand in front of the deity. During this puja, the light from the individual wicks will seem to have blurred into a ring of light combined with the vapor from the incense. Most likely, the devotee will chant a prayer and also ring a bell with their left hand. In addition, food would have also been offered to the god on a separate tray. So the puja becomes a celebration that engages all senses and propitiates the deity to receive his or her blessings in return. The lamp with the 5 oil receptacles here is an Arati lamp. And the iconography of the monkey in the other lamp perhaps evokes the resolute faithfulness of Hanuman, the monkey general, which a devotee aspires to develop towards the deity. The monkey on the Arati lamp also acts as a reminder of its quick movement, which is quite similar to the movement of the fire when the worshipper circles it in front of the deity. This multifunctional lamp from the collection has several components that make it both visually interesting and functionally dynamic. The handle consists of a naturalistic cobra head and a ladle attached to the side. The central portion of the lamp is a bulbous vessel that consists of superimposed registers of lotus petal motifs and has a semi-conical base. The ladle can be used to spoon out the oil from the vessel. Attached to the front of the vessel, right here, is a seated figure of the elephant-headed Hindu god Ganesha. He is framed by a decorative mandorla or an almond-shaped halo with decorative detail. At Ganesha's feet is his vehicle, the rat. As the god of wisdom and the remover of obstacles, Ganesha is often invoked at the beginning of Hindu ceremonies. Connected to the base at Ganesha's figure right here, you can see another figure, and that would be a weight-bearing figure that is ubiquitously seen in both Hindu and Buddhist art and architecture. The Deepastamba, or trees of light, offer lamps that represent the natural form of a tree or a lamp with a highly stylized stand. In this first example of a Deepastamba, we can see an actual tree form that is carried on the back of an elephant, encircled by 5 female figures holding lamps. The tree consists of 3 segments, with each consisting of lamps that are held by metal rings and decorative foliage, fruit, and birds. And at the very top of this lamp, you can see a head of a female figure with a top knot and downcast eyes. The intricate and imposing tree lamp evokes old and special trees in villages where tree deities reside, tree spirits reside. According to local South Asian beliefs, all trees may be inhabited by protective tutelary deities, and lamps are lit under the trees to seek their protection and guidance. In both Hindu and Buddhist literature and folklore, a kalpa vruksha, a mythical tree, is considered to be a wish-fulfilling and auspicious tree. The tree lamp certainly evokes both these concepts with its visual representation and iconography. The second type of Deepastamba, quite common to both South India and Sri Lanka, is a lamp topped with a detachable gander, a male goose. In South India, these lamps are called Kutubilaku. Below the gander, connected to the central stand, there can be 1 or more trays and with oil receptacles to hold wicks. And at the very bottom, you can see a stand. Of the stand, you can see a larger tray to hold most likely excess oil drips and also to support the stand itself. Such Deepastamba lamps, like the tree lamp, tend to be larger in scale and can at times, they can be taller than an average human. These lamps are used in temples as well as in domestic settings, and also in special occasions such as opening ceremonies and weddings and conferences. For special celebrations and for Diwali, in addition to the lighted wicks, the lamps would be decorated with strands of jasmine flowers. The gander, often called a hamsa, is also the vehicle of Brahma, the creator god of the Hindu pantheon. According to Buddhist and Hindu mythology, a hamsa has the ability to separate milk from a mixture of milk and water. The Lakshmi lamps provide a direct invocation of what is known as Devi, the divine female. In other words, they are not exclusively depictions of Lakshmi, but symbolize an array of female gods. Within the Hindu pantheon, there are very powerful, multifaceted female deities such as Lakshmi, Parvati, Saraswati, and Durga, etc. They are often seen as multiple manifestations of a single mother goddess or Devi, the divine female. The Lakshmi lamps indicate regional variations within India, in terms of figuration and style or clothing and other accoutrements. In this Lakshmi Lamp from Tamil Nadu, South India, the goddess is dressed in a tightly pleated skirt and a top and wears heavy set jewelry. She stands on an elephant, often identified in Hindu literature as Sri Gaja, the auspicious elephant, the harbinger of rain. The second Lakshmi lamp, also from Tamil Nadu, depicts an even more decorated and stylized goddess holding a lamp. The figure seems to be truncated below the knees, and the feet are not visible. An upturned lotus base supports the figure. Additionally, you can see a parrot sitting on her shoulder, adding a somewhat witty and decorative touch to the figure. The third Lakshmi lamp from Rajasthan indicates regional variation with a comparatively more flattened figure. You can also see geometric decorative details on the clothing and the skirt that flares towards the base. The goddess is seen wearing heavy set bracelets and a necklace. The eyes of all three Lakshmi lamps feature quite prominently. This is not an unusual feature in Hindu art and architecture. The concept of darshan refers to a deity seeing the god as they make various offerings and the god seeing the devotee in return. By seeing the devotee, the god then imparts blessings on the devotee, emphasizing the transactional nature of darshan. So, in many Hindu sculptures, you will see eyes that have been exaggerated as a visual indicator to assure the worshipper that they will be seen by the god and that their offerings acknowledged and accepted. Lakshmi lamps can be seen around the entrances to Hindu temples and at times in domestic settings. The last and fifth category that we will discuss is hanging lamps, often called chain lamps. They can be seen in many temples. Suspended in midair by a chain, they offer much visual interest and also light up the dark interiors of Hindu shrines and temples. Within the Fowler's collection of hanging lamps, there are three examples I will highlight here to show you not only their variety in design, but also the wide scope in terms of provenance. The first example is one of the earliest lamps of the Fowler collection, dated to the Dong Sang culture in Vietnam. It's 500 BCE to up to 200 CE. Bronze casting and lost wax production is not a novelty to the Dong Sang culture, which boasts of many dongs and drums used in rituals and grave goods. In this lamp's intricately designed handle, you can see individual figures depicting flute players. As Hinduism spread from India to Southeast Asia along land and sea Silk roads, we can see a flourishing of Hindu iconography in many parts of Southeast Asia. The second example is a hanging lamp from the Angkor period in Cambodia. A seated figure within the oil lamp is most likely Lakshmi, who, according to Hindu literature, emerged while sitting on a lotus as the gods churned the primeval ocean of milk. The third example of a hanging lamp is from Kerala, which depicts an elephant and a rider. Wicks would be placed around the outer edge of the lamp, where the indented portion would function as the oil receptacle right here. So given the short duration of this talk, we only got to see a small selection of a large collection of lamps at the Fowler Museum. The diversity in design and iconography exemplify a very complex collection of lamps that require further academic inquiry. Speaking of academic research, when I was a PhD student at the Department of Art History, preparing to do my fieldwork in South Asia, and as Bianca mentioned to you earlier, I received a grant from the Fowler Museum to travel to South India, specifically to Tamil Nadu and Kerala. During my many visits to Hindu temples, royal palaces, and other commercial settings, I captured some photos of various lamps, which quite fittingly parallel the lamps at the Fowler collection. I would like to share some of these photos with you to better illustrate how lamps function within a living, breathing culture. Now, as photography is prohibited inside many Hindu temple complexes, particularly in Kerala, the images may seem limited. In some cases, a phone camera was allowed inside the museum portion of certain Hindu temples in Tamil Nadu, resulting in poor quality photos. So this first photo is outside the main entrance of one of the most sacred Hindu temples in Kerala. It's the Vadakunatha Shiva temple in Thrissur. And you can see the Deepastamba in the front with a weight-bearing turtle at the bottom. And the second photo right here is from the famous Meenakshi Temple in Tamil Nadu. And this is from inside the museum portion of the temple, which is called the thousand-pillared hallway. And you can see some Deepastambas flanking the central deity. This photo right here is from Kerala. It's from Cheriyapalli. It's a Syrian Christian church in Kottayam in Kerala. And it is one of the earliest sites where Christianity was introduced to India. The church is built in a Portuguese Baroque Kerala mix style, and you can see a traditional oil lamp in the center of the pillared hallway, right in front of the church's main entrance. And here you see a hanging lamp from a Kerala temple, a Hindu temple, and it is hanging outside a peripheral shrine within a Hindu temple complex. The outer walls of the central shrines in many Kerala temples consist of a wall of oil lamps on each side of the parapet wall, and they are all wooden structures. And at times, this can be a significant fire hazard because there will be thousands of lamps lit outside along these walls. And the final example is from two hotel lobbies. One depicts the Gaja Lakshmi right here. That is Lakshmi flanked by two elephants, a symbol of prosperity and auspiciousness. And the second one is, you can see a Deepastamba. So if you wish to acquire a lamp, they are available for purchase through popular sites such as Etsy and Amazon. And you can even see popular unboxing videos of Diwali lamps of various custom-made designs and common designs on YouTube. Some even show off their lamp collection quite proudly in these videos and in apps such as Pinterest. As you can see, oil lamps, whether they are used in sacred or secular settings or for Diwali, are icons that exist within a living culture, consumed in a variety of ways and exchanged in monetary transactions. The lamps at the Fowler collection show the shared iconography within South and Southeast Asia through provenance. Perhaps this shared iconography and design says something about the makers of the lamps. The artisans remain unknown, as they belong to the Vishwakarma caste. They include painters, goldsmiths, wood carvers, masons, stone workers, and metalsmiths. There are also migrant artisans that traveled within India and South Asia. Therefore, the shared artistry and iconography among the lamps in India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia is not surprising to an art historian, but certainly highlights the amount of academic research potential that the Fowler Museum is offering. In addition to offering a venue for further academic inquiry, the Fowler collection offers a very important and potent message of cross-cultural and pan-South Asian transmission of art and iconography, transcending regional and imagined boundaries. In relation to Diwali and for art historical research, the Fowler Lamp collection offers us a message of light prevailing over darkness, a message of optimism and hope. So in conclusion, this is certainly a message that we all perhaps crave to hear during this chaotic and turbulent time, and to overcome the pandemic in the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lakshika. Wow. Thank you for filling us in on all things Diwali and oil lamps. We're about to move into the Q&A section. So if everyone has a question and they want it answered, now is the time to submit it. In the meantime, I couldn't help but notice that you seem to have an oil lamp of your own on that shelf back there.
Yes, I do. Can I see it?
Oh, move it over to this camera. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, this is an oil lamp from Sri Lanka. It's made out of brass. As you can see, this is where you would put the oil and the wicks. Mm-hmm. You can have it on a table if you want, but there's also a little chain so you can hang it. So here it is.
Have you ever used it, or is it more of like a decoration?
It's mostly for decorative use, but we do tend to light it for some Buddhist holidays with a wick and some coconut oil.
Awesome. So we have some questions rolling in. Pam says that she's seen Rangoli designs on doorsteps in southern India too. And are they of different significance for Diwali versus day to day?
Yeah, for Diwali, they do have very traditional designs that they actually pass from one generation to the other. And it's I guess it goes through memory and whatever your family desires, but they do have very specific designs for Diwali as well. But ultimately, it's a very fun, exciting project for everybody to get together.
And Kevin has joined us from Thailand. Wow. And he says he noticed that one of the lamps from the Dongsan period is from Vietnam and another one's from Cambodia. Did or do these countries celebrate Diwali? He lives in Thailand, and where he lives, there's something called Kampeng Phet, but they don't have Hindu shrines. So he's wondering if you know if other countries celebrate Diwali.
Yeah, I mean, Diwali is celebrated throughout the world. There's a widespread Hindu population all over the world. So they do celebrate Diwali in London, in LA, as we are doing right now with this presentation, but they do celebrate Diwali. And the Ramayana particularly is very popular in Southeast Asia, not so much in Sri Lanka, because Ravana, the demon king, is supposed to be from Lanka. So it really didn't get that much traction in Sri Lanka, but with that popularity in the Ramayana, yes, they do celebrate, at least to a certain extent, not so much as you would see in India, but you would see.
And there's a really interesting question about the material of the lamps and how have current societal expectations of wealth influenced what lamps are made of?
That's a great question too. Well, like I said, some people aspire to have lamp collections, and you can get custom made lamps. I mean, they range, the price varies so much. I mean, this little lamp right here, it was maybe 750 rupees. It's not much when you convert to US currency, but they can range from several 100,000 rupees to, you can get very intricate design, especially the deepastambas, the tree shaped lamps. They can be quite expensive, and you can get it in silver if you want, gold plated, however you want. They will cater to your needs and according to how much money you want to spend.
And do you know anything about the length of time versus quantity of oil for burning? How long would, for instance, a lamp like yours last? And then the follow-up part of that question is the burning of oil in lamps typically practiced both in private and in public?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, this would last a couple of hours, 3-4 hours maybe. Um, well, we just put it out because we have a little daughter who's running around. It's not safe to keep it up for too long. But the lamps, they, in Hindu temples and in Buddhist temples, they actually have a lamp that they keep going for 24 hours. They won't let it die out. So that's called the, I don't know the translation, the English translation, but it's called the, to give you a loose translation, it'd be like the 12-month lamp. So they try to keep it burning 24/7. So you would need a considerable amount of coconut oil or ghee, depending on the size of the lamp, because that particular lamp, the 12-month lamp, is also a Deepastamba. And oftentimes you would see devotees pouring in some oil into a little pipe, so it'll carry that oil into the lamp. So that's also a form of veneration, offering your respects to the deity. Does that answer that question? I hope I answered that question.
Well, the second part of it was about practicing it in both private and public.
Yes, yeah, that's also common to both Hinduism and even Buddhism. The lamp being a central figure, a conveyor of light. People do light the lamps at home. And not just for Diwali, for like on a day-to-day basis as well. People would light it to honor the deity.
Beautiful. Let's see. So, oh, interesting. Someone says that most recently the trend in India is to go to LED lamps, and that they're still traditional, but the wick is replaced with an LED and it has a much lower carbon footprint. And yes, you can leave it on for years.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. That's absolutely true. Light, it's changed from the traditional fire, oil, and ghee to definitely LEDs and very bright lights. That's common in a lot of South Asian countries, whether the celebration is Hindu or Buddhist. Otherwise they would use copra and coconut oil, and now people have switched to a much convenient LED light. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So Cindy wants to know, what are the best places to experience Diwali in the LA area or in Artesia? If you happen to know the area, is there a Hindu temple that you would recommend going to?
Yes, there are a couple of actually Hindu temples. There's one Hindu temple in Malibu.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful temple. I forget the address. Perhaps you can share like with an email. It's close to Calabasas. There is a Hindu temple, and there's a second Hindu temple that I've been to. It's in Chino Hills. It's a gigantic Hindu temple with amazing carving, and I'm sure there's some sort of celebration going on. And if you check their websites, they will tell you how and when to come in. By the way, the Chino Hills temple, there's also an Indian restaurant that's run by the temple. It's not expensive at all, and it's all vegetarian, delicious food, so it's definitely worth a visit.
Nice, good to know. And Lisa wants to know if you have to fast on Diwali. Actually, she has a bunch of questions, so let's answer them one at a time. Do you have to fast on Diwali?
I'm not aware of fasting for Diwali.
I don't think so, because also tomorrow we have a very special cooking lesson. So it seems consuming food is actually a big part of the celebration. Yes. And what kind of decorations might one put up around the house? And is there an ideal length of time to get the lamp going? Is it for a full day, for a week?
So, I mean, in terms of decoration, they would light the lamps and keep it burning throughout the night, and that's their goal. That's really to make sure that Lakshmi will visit your house. Because if you have lamps, then she will visit your house. In terms of decoration, it can be lamps, oil lamps, candles, whatever that emanates light, even LED lights. And you can have garlands, jasmine, whatever flowers you have. You can have those as decorations as well. But it's primarily light. So you can light up incense sticks and make your house nice and pretty. And that the lighting of the lamps will go on for like each and every night of the Diwali celebration.
Okay, and how long is Diwali? Is it always the same length of time?
5 days, yeah. And today is the first day. Today is day 1, so there'll be 5 days going forward until the 16th, right? Yeah, 16th.
Okay, I'm gonna leave. Yeah. So what then I saw a question about day 1 and what mundane activities are meant to stop on the first day. What qualifies as a mundane activity?
Yeah, so it's a big celebration, right? It becomes like a big party scene. So people would close their get out of work, and actually they will also in preparation they will go shopping. So there's a lot of buying clothes and food, buying new pots and pans for the house. That's also done in a traditional setting, like whatever you can afford. You don't have to have you know the most expensive, but they will always buy new items for the house and for gifts in terms of exchange. So for that, and for cleaning the house, for doing the rangoli designs, they will take a break from regular work, going to school, because it's a big celebration. Ultimately, it's a big party, a fun celebration with your family and friends.
Okay. Yes, and someone was wondering if the divine female is a common theme in Hinduism, or if that's something kind of specific to Diwali.
Not just specific to Diwali. Now, what happens with South Asian, particularly Indian art, is that the female aspect, the divine female, and having an array of female deities is nothing new. It's a tradition that they've had for thousands of years. However, when you have the British coming into India and sort of rewriting the text, they only picked the 3 male gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, to fit the same plan of the Holy Trinity, because that's how they comprehend the material. With that, they completely disregard the female deities, the mother goddess, Parvati and Lakshmi, Durga, who is a very powerful goddess, venerated on the side of Bengal. So it's not just for Diwali. They're so powerful. If you actually go to Hindu temples, and if you go to India, if anybody's interested, you will see that the female aspect, as a deity, as the mother goddess, or that divine female, is quite significant.
So just a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. Someone is wondering if you give gifts traditionally during the holiday.
Yes, it's a big part of Diwali, and day 5 is it's actually dedicated to giving gifts to each other, family and friends, and especially between brothers and sisters, just to symbolize their love. I would say you would give gifts. The easiest sort of comparison you can make is to Christmas. Gift giving is a significant part of Christmas. So you see the same sort of celebration and gift giving happening in Diwali.
Great. And then just one last question about the oil lamps.
Yeah.
Do they produce an aroma of coconut or butter ghee when burning?
Yeah, it smells really good if you use good coconut oil, and it's a part of that. It creates that ambiance, with the smell of oil, good coconut oil burning and ghee, and especially when you. This is not related to Diwali, but when you get rid of the fire, when you blow it out, there's a vapor that comes. It's like almost like an opaque vapor. And in some South Asian cultures, particularly in Buddhist cultures, they believe that gods come to inhale that vapor because it smells so good. It's just a general belief that people have in certain parts of South Asia that, you just let them inhale that vapor.
So before we end our program, I have one last question for you. I'm curious to know if you've noticed, due to COVID, if there have been some celebrations that typically happen in the city that aren't happening, during, you know, normal times. Are there certain celebrations that are reliable in Los Angeles that maybe aren't happening this year? Or is it typically very much focused at the temples themselves rather than out in the city?
Yeah, I haven't particularly looked at individual celebrations, but I've noticed that some temples are open, but it's very limited. You would have to make sure you're there at the right time and so on. But in India, I saw that they have canceled a big celebration, like an annual celebration they have in front of the Ganges River. They've actually canceled the whole celebration. It's something they do with a lot of Arti lamps, and that whole thing is canceled. So I'm pretty sure they've canceled a lot of celebrations
Yeah,
in and around LA as well. But it's definitely worth checking the websites though with the temples, how they let people in,
yeah.
just to see.
Well, thank you so much for giving us space to honor this holiday. And even though things are different this year, I'm sure families will still be coming together as best they can to light their oil lamps and celebrate the holiday. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Bianca.
Lakshika,
Thank
for
you.
answering all these questions and
No problem.
sharing the important research you were able to achieve as a result of the Altman Award. Very, very interesting. So thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everyone who joined us. This program has been recorded and it will be available on our Instagram and on the Fowler website for you to revisit and share as you see fit. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you'll join us again tomorrow for our second Diwali program, a cooking lesson with Mayura Indian Restaurant, which will teach us how to make some sweet treats that you can consume over the weekend. All right, that's it. Have a great weekend or a great Diwali. Thank you. Bye.